What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you want to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
These are my beloved servants, so I want to be darn sure we set up a clear master and servant relationship.
I see. Ramirez was certainly thinking deeply about this, and what I heard sounded good enough to me. But back to the main topic.
So is Milam in the dragon chambers right now?
Yep. She said she found some playmates to help my servants stay in shape.
Indeed. I believe I went fishing with one of them once. But how is someone like him going to play with a dragon?
You're better off not knowing, I think. But all I needed was Milam's current location. If she was toiling away near the bottom of the labyrinth, I doubt she'd meddle with our opening at all.
Right. She probably won't get in the way, then, so I'm fine with that. We're about to open the labyrinth right now, so can you come up top for me?
Yep. I'd be happy to.
Chirped Ramirez.
I will pass. It is the role of the labyrinth master to await his challengers.
Look, I told you, nobody's gonna make it to the bottom in one day. In fact, you'd probably have to wait many days before anyone shows up. I refrained from telling him this, however. That's so kind of me.
Great. Well, good luck, then.
Leaving Veldora with some encouragement, I took Ramirez along as we teleported to the chamber up top. With lunch over, a large number of people had arrived at their seats. Ramirez and I were there to greet them.
Welcome back, Sir Rimuru.
Diablo said, smiling. He was done with his refereeing work, and I heard he was looking for me. I gave him a quick nod and hello of my own, then switched gears and took a look at our program. I had a lot of expectations for the dungeon we were opening. It was one of the centerpieces of our nation's future development, so I wanted as many of our visitors to explore it as possible. Fortunately, it seemed like few to none of our invitees decided to take an early leave after lunch. The hall was nearly full, so I thought this would function as pretty decent advertising. Turning toward the event space, I could see Soka and Myeolmile, the latter of whom would take Diablo's place as guide and announcer during this event. It was time to go, so I gave them both my signal.
All right, the time has come. The final event of Day 3 of the Founders Festival is about to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We are about to show you a small portion of our impregnable dungeon, one of Tempest's greatest achievements. It is the ultimate challenge for adventurers, presented by our leader, the Demon Lord Rimuru. Will anybody out there be able to conquer it?
Myeolmile was giving this spiel from center stage, mic in hand. He wasn't quite as much of a natural at this as Soka, but he looked well enough in his element. What he had to say was this. Running a demonstration of the labyrinth was well and good, but taking all the visitors here inside the dungeon was too dangerous. There were several hundred members of the ruling class in here, add our more nearby residents, and the number became several thousand. A crowd that size crammed into the labyrinth would be far too unruly to guide around. Instead, we'd come up with the idea of sending several parties down there and showing their progress on a large screen. That presented a few technological challenges, but we had already succeeded at providing a clear picture on a huge screen at the battle tournament, and we could use the same tech for this. The projector that Gabble and Vester built was proving useful for a variety of purposes. It's what we'd used to display the battles on screen earlier, via a video recording crystal ball stored inside the machine. This crystal was inscribed with magical communication spells that let it receive images recorded far away and project them here, allowing the audience to watch the challengers from a safe distance and enjoy the entertainment. Getting a king or prince injured would be a huge problem. As a result, only a few selected parties would actually be experiencing the labyrinth today.
And so,
a smiling Soka shouted.
We'd now like to open the labyrinth up to adventurers. Are there any members of the audience courageous enough to delve into the dungeon we're proud to offer you?
That was our cue. Ramirez, perched on my shoulder, summoned a temporary doorway to the labyrinth in the center of the stage. We could have just brought any challengers down to the basement here, but it was important to put on a show for things like this. See? The crowd was amazed, just as I hoped they'd be. A quiet sort of excitement was taking root among them, the adventurers in the audience sizing up one another. We were strictly accepting volunteers today, and if possible, I wanted to see a lot of participants, and even if nobody raised their hand, we still had Masayuki's group. That was part of why I wanted to negotiate with him earlier. He had already explained matters to his friends, and they were on standby right now. I had given them a map of the first 5 floors to ensure against any mistakes. Hopefully they'd serve as the advertising pitchmen I wanted. So would we see any volunteers? As it turned out, my concerns were for nothing.
I dunno what a Demon Lord's Labyrinth is all about, but I'm ready to rip the facade from it. You might think you've caught us all, what with that phony battle tournament and everything, but you won't get us this time.
Yeah, Bassan's right.
If the highway wasn't so jammed, Bassan would have won the whole tournament.
You're not forgetting about me, are you?
Ah, don't be that way, Gomez. They know all about how strong you are. As long as you and I are together, our great lightning team's got nothing to fear.
Oh, looks like we've got all kinds of challengers. This Basson guy must have shown up too late to join the tournament. If he was around to see it, he should have known full well how powerful the competitors were. But with a couple of matches forfeited, the quality of the fighting was admittedly hit or miss. I was sure there were a ton of people like Basson who assumed they were invincible and so on. But that was fine. I figured we'd see a few skeptics who refused to believe in any of this. Those would be our future customers, after all.
And Masayuki the hero wasn't anyone special in the end, either, was he? He's strong, I'll grant you that, but in a fight, you gotta see it through to the end. Letting the demon lord of this country off the hook like that. How half-hearted of him. It sickens me.
He admitted that Masayuki was strong. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, this so-called labyrinth is a big con job. And Bassan and I are gonna expose it for what it is right now.
Basson's group certainly had gusto.
I refuse to allow them to berate you like this, Sir Rimuru.
Let me go over and shut them up a bit.
Halt.
I couldn't let my guard down. Xian was irritated, and Diablo came this close to going out of control. I hurriedly stopped them, but at least they didn't threaten to kill them this time.
They're just a little overconfident, okay? Besides, I think it'll be more fun if we get people like them.
They might be a little dumb, I thought, but they were the right people for this job. Xian and Diablo nodded their agreement. I was used to handling them by now. Basson was a fighter with a shaved head. Gomez, a sorcerer in a black robe. They had 4 others in their party, none of them worth writing home about. This sextet would be our first challengers. Then someone unexpected spoke up.
We'll take the challenge.
3 people jumped out of the audience. I thought I'd seen them before. Wait, is that Ellen? I was having Ellen's trio help with the founding of Yome's new nation. They were going around the free guild locations in the former Farmus, and I had asked them to aid Yom however they could. A B-ranked adventurer was a fearsome presence in itself, and Ellen's party was now rated B+. They were allowed to cross national borders unhindered, so I figured this was the perfect job for them. They hadn't joined Yom on the way here, so I assumed they had gone back home or something, but no. I had no idea they were planning this. In fact, they must have been hiding it so Archduke Errol didn't stop them.
We're really going to do it?
Oh, of course, we are. I haven't had any adventures lately, so I've been waiting for this.
Let me ask as leader, I have the right to say no, right? Right?
No. Not at all. It's already set in stone.
Crazy. I felt so bad for Kabul. And I thought I'd just heard Errol screaming over in the other room, only to fall silent after the sound of something smashing. I could picture what had happened but chose not to. Hopefully, at least, Ellen would be done before her father woke up. Our third party here was led by Masayuki, hero of the day. They all calmly strode on stage, greeting the audience with smiles.
Masayuki.
Yes, all right. They hear you. The applause in the room was deafening. What a stud he is. Counting Masayuki, there were 4 people in the party, including the formerly topless Jinrai clad in the armor I'd given him. A suit of mithril armor, crafted by Garm and rated as a rare on the scale. It was heavier than Yome's exo armor and not quite as effective but just as durable. It even gave the wearer anti-poison effects. I had also given Masayuki a rapier as a present. I'd asked him over lunch why he never drew his sword, and he flatly replied, well, it's heavy, so. Honestly, I was shocked by how much of a bluffer he was. He had some kendo experience but none with actual swords, and besides, in this world, slicing Japanese katanas weren't as popular as heavy, skull-crushing blades, so they were all gonna have a little heft to them. As he told me, even striking a pose with a sword for a long time was difficult for him. So I gave him this rapier, advising him to try working out a little more as well. This blade was a discarded version of the one I gave to Hinata. It had the same light weight and strength, but not her sword's unique trait of always killing your opponent on the 7th landed attack. Just swinging this thing around was enough work for Masayuki. He didn't need that sort of advanced feature anyway. Plus, the rapier also remedied exhaustion for its user to some extent. If all Masayuki would do was strike a pose and keep it steady, this sword was more than enough. So the party of 4 was soaking in the cheers from the audience, none of whom questioned their change in equipment. We planned to set a time limit of 3 hours, calculated back from my intended goal of keeping anyone from going past floor 5. Masayuki's party had a map, giving them an advantage over the others, and I was counting on them to advertise the labyrinth for me. So 3 parties, then? That didn't seem like too many, but of course, a lot of people would think twice about challenging a shady, demon lord-run labyrinth. We needed to address, and quell, that hesitation with this demo today. But just as I was about to move the show along...
Wait, I'll join in too.
A man clad entirely in black appeared on stage, Gaia the Flowing Swordsman.
You've done a fine job trapping me in your bluffs and trickery, haven't you? The Demon Lord's Big Four, or whatever they're called, certainly play dirty, do they not? I can understand if they're afraid of my talents, but they picked a fight with the wrong foe. You can scheme all you want, but I'm about to crush your ambitions for good.
Quite an introduction. I was wondering what he was doing here, and now I knew, I guess. Basically, he couldn't understand how Ranga had beaten him and decided it was all a trap. He assumed I was up to something no good with this labyrinth, and now he was standing up to stop me in my tracks, I guess. And yes, I was up to something, but probably not the things Gaia was picturing.
Right. This time, I'm going to chop his little
Yeah, get him, Diablo.
No, don't get him. And stop imitating my voice, Shion.
These people, I swear, why were they always like this? Whenever someone said something about me, they just give them no mercy. And Shion was getting so sensitive to every affront, too, imagined or not. Maybe it was time I thought of some more serious measures for her. But whatever. Gaia looked like he wanted to go solo on this, but was he gonna be okay? I was honestly concerned. On the other hand, it'd be nice to get a sample of how a lone adventurer would fare in the labyrinth. We might as well make him the 4th party today.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shoutout to Night Gazer, Wabalabadubdub, Rahul Subramanian, CJ Pabera, Mars Bull, Canaria MLBB, Shreyansh, Anime Music Compilations, Toji M, and last but not the least, shoutout to Ender Squad 360. I'll see you guys in the next video.